You already know more than you realize, you just haven't learned to read the signals yet. Because every person leaves traces, and Nietzsche's 18 insights will teach you how to find them and what they mean. This isn't a quick list or shallow advice, but a complete breakdown in 3 parts, each building on the last. And if you skip, you lose the depth that makes it work. So stay with me, because by the end you won't just understand others, you'll see yourself more clearly than you expect. From childhood we're trained to trust words, but Nietzsche warned us not to be fooled by language, because people rarely speak from truth. They speak from survival, from ego, from fear, and the surface of a personality isn't the person, it's their armor. The one who seems overly kind may be terrified of rejection. The one who looks strong may be quietly crumbling. And the trickiest part is they often don't even know they're acting, because most people are playing roles they didn't write, wearing smiles and opinions shaped by what once kept them safe. Every profound spirit needs a mask, he wrote, not as an insult, but a warning not to confuse the mask with the person. And here's the key. People leak truth constantly, not in what they say, but in the cracks, the glass that slips away. The laugh that lasts too long, the abrupt subject change when it cuts too close. The first truth is that everyone wears a mask to survive, not because they're fake, but because they're scared, so watch for tension. Because discomfort marks the edge where the real person begins. The second truth is that what we hate in others reveals what we hide in ourselves. Because projection is confession. Mocking arrogance often masks insecurity. Relentless talk of other people's dishonesty often signals a truth we can't face. And the map to someone's inner life is drawn not only by what they admire, but by what they can't stop criticizing. Third, silence reveals more than words. Hesitations, dodges, and rehearsed lines to deep questions are louder than speeches, because avoiding vulnerability announces what we fear. Fourth, excessive virtue often disguises vanity. Loud moral posturing and constant correcting can be will to power in costume, because real goodness doesn't need applause. Fifth, people don't lie to you first, they lie to themselves. So the "I'm fine," "I don't care," and "I'm over it" aren't attacks but practice defenses that sound true to the speaker. And the inconsistencies that slip through are the breadcrumb trail back to reality. Sixth, where someone feels superior, they're hiding inferiority. Endless boasts and casual put-downs are overcompensation. Because real confidence doesn't compete, it simply is. And if someone must dominate or prove, look behind the throne and you'll find a frightened child with a crown. Reading people isn't for judgment, but for understanding. The chronic interrupter might fear being forgotten. The nonstop happy posts might be a quiet cry for help. And when someone says "I'm fine" while their body says otherwise, believe the body. Use these truths not to gain power, but to offer compassion, because clarity dissolves contempt. And Nietzsche's secret wasn't about control, but connection. See through the mask so you stop being fooled and start relating. If you've ever sensed there was more beneath the surface, you've probably seen the mask crack. A flash of discomfort when beliefs are challenged, a tone that hardens when you get close, a nervous laugh that doesn't fit the words. These aren't mistakes, they're signals. And once you learn to read them, you realize people aren't hard to read. They're scared to be seen. Part 1 showed how we build personas to protect ourselves. And Part 2 dives into what happens when those personas split. Because Nietzsche saw the self not as fixed, but as a performance stitched together to survive. And when it's threatened, the truth leaks out. Start with fear, because it moves more of us than we admit. Most actions are driven by unconscious fear. Over-explaining, dominating, disappearing, saying yes while meaning no, fueled by fear of abandonment, rejection, humiliation, failure. So don't focus on what someone says they want, ask what they're afraid of losing, because that's where truth lives. Criticism is a mirror too. Relentless critique is projection and tells you what someone is trying to disown, so trace the line back to the speaker. Confidence can be guilt in costume, the composure, over-preparation, and brittle certainty that crumble under pressure often hide regret or a self they're trying to outrun, because real peace doesn't perform. Exaggeration is another tell when someone insists, "I don't care what anyone thinks," or "I'm always happy." The absolutes are volume knobs trying to drown out doubt, signaling imbalance, not strength. So read the insecurity beneath the extremity. The hunger for control often masks inner chaos. Micromanaging, rigidity, domination, and terror of change reveal a turbulent inner world holding the outer world in a vice. And the stricter the shell, the more fragile the core. Performance, especially in our curated era, is often emptiness in disguise. The louder the show, the emptier the center, because if you don't believe you'll be loved as you are, you manufacture noise, but those who know themselves don't need an audience. By now the room looks different. Patterns are louder than words. Boasting hums with an old wound. Constant interruption pulses with the fear of disappearing. And you're not reading minds, you're reading masks with Nietzsche's flashlight in your hand. This skill is a responsibility, because once you truly see people, you can't unsee them, and you realize most are suffering beneath polished smiles. Reading isn't leverage, it's grace. See the child behind the critic, the fear beneath the bully, the guilt under the arrogance, and you don't grow weaker, you become unshakable. In the final part we strip the last layer. Behind every behavior sits a belief, and behind every belief, a wound. People don't speak from logic but from pain, building worldviews around what hurt them most and justifying afterward. So don't ask only what they believe, ask what broke them and what they never want to feel again. And their arguments stop being threats. They become shields. Characters revealed in response to weakness. Don't study how someone treats the powerful. Study how they treat those who can't fight back. Because real strength is restraint. Mocking vulnerability signals fear of one's own. Punishing mistakes betrays a past without mercy. Winning while others bleed means the inner war rages on. But the one who can sit with sadness, forgive when punishment is easy, and stay soft without being naive has already won within. The fear of being forgotten drives the chase for attention. What looks like confidence can be terror of invisibility. A child once ignored becoming an adult who overcompensates with spectacle, drama, or chaos, and sometimes attention-seeking. Isn't vanity, it's a cry. Attacks often mask envy, tearing down the successful, mocking the confident, or gossiping about the free is easier than confessing admiration you don't feel allowed to have. Because envy is unspoken desire saying, "I want that too," and seeing this in others makes you immune to petty hate. Seeing it in yourself makes you free. People don't act from beliefs as much as they reenact their childhood. The unheard child becomes the adult who doesn't listen. The one punished for feeling becomes cold and hyper-rational. The one who had to earn love becomes the performer, who chases affection even when it hurts. So if you want to understand someone, don't just ask who they are, ask who they had to be. Because behavior is biography. Finally, patterns are confessions if you know how to listen. Ghosting when closeness appears, overworking to avoid stillness, flirting with everyone yet connecting with no one. These aren't random. They're strategies saying, "This is how I protect myself where I was hurt, and what I fear repeating. And if you listen to patterns instead of words, you'll hear truth before it's spoken. Then something shifts. You stop personalizing and judging. You start understanding. And you become a mirror, not a weapon, someone who sees and chooses grace. Pause and reflect. Every truth here isn't just about others. It's about you, your patterns, your fears, your childhood scripts. And the clearer you see them in others, the clearer you can see them in yourself. This isn't the end, but the beginning of a new way of seeing, because Nietzsche didn't want us merely to observe, but to awaken, to realize that what we judge in others is something we carry, and what we admire is something we long to embody. If this resonated, share which truth hit you hardest and keep going. There's more to uncover, more masks to lay down, and a truer self waiting to be seen.